Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of Moohead Radio. I'm your host, A Big and Furry Bovine. Joining me, Brian and Rox. Rick is in the chat room as he still needs to hear from Spectrum. I don't like to play musical chairs with what I'm broadcasting with. Zoom has been down across the entire eastern part of the United States, and I'm not exactly sure what's happened to them, but I can assume that they're either hacked or that there's something in their infrastructure that just kind of blew up. So whatever the case is, that's what it is. So we're back here on StreamYard, and hey, D-Bag, how you doing? Goodbye, Earl. Yeah, we're going to talk about a bunch of things, and I want to start the show out with what I call a tale of two cities, which is much better, Rox, than a sale of two titties, which is... But forget it. You've read that, haven't you, Rox?
Yeah, I don't think I'm familiar with that one.
A Sale of Two Titties by Darl's Chickens. Hey, Cindy Sanders. Hello, how you doing? Hey, Chris Harwell. Chris Harwell. How you doing? I mean, things are moving so fast in Amsterdam. I can't keep up. The tale of two cities goes something like this. Sports fans know a bow wow when they see one, and seemingly when your fortune is incredibly good, somehow in the back of your mind you don't believe it, that it's not gonna really come out good for you. And so it now is with the Philadelphia 76ers, who have fired Brett Brown, their head coach, and what was once referred to as the process, and then once was referred to as Sam Hinkie's, last stand and Sam Hinkie's great flops, and then turned into we're going to be the next champions. And Ben Simmons saying, I'm holding up my fingers because you're going to see a bunch of rings on these. Well, if he goes to Jared, yes, but not in the NBA. And it's like now the entire process has broken down. So that's the city of Philadelphia. And then we have the city of Cleveland. And the city of Cleveland got over the NBA hump with LeBron James, who's carried many people to the promised land. But the Cleveland Browns can't catch a break. And that's where we're going to start out today, the Cleveland Browns are snake bitten. Grant Delpit, their second round pick, the guy who's going to start at safety, has obviously done Achilles damage. According to people from Browns Live who saw the accident happen, I've not seen video on it. He was backpedaling and he was going to jump and he grabbed the back of his leg. Oh-da-do-da-day. That's what you call a torn Achilles tendon. That means the end of his season, and you don't know what he's going to be when he comes back. All right. People have come back from the injury and been okay, but there are also people who never quite get their speed, their acceleration, and everything back. Grant Delpit is a wasted draft pick, as Mac Wilson is too, as his dislocation is prompted the Browns to go out and get a linebacker because they need to play somebody.
I heard that Mac Wilson's injury was actually a hyperextended knee.
It is a hyperextended knee, but the extent of damage inside can't be assessed totally until the swelling goes completely down. They said in a good way, well, geez, at least the swelling is going down faster than they thought. But there are some people who are more prone to inflammation, like I, who after my knee replacement kind of blew up. And there are people who have less of a reaction to the inflammatory process. But the fact of the matter is that after a total knee dislocation, which is what we're talking about, Mac Wilson isn't going to be playing. It's like this was supposed to be the year Mac Wilson proved his worth. He's going to lose the season because he's not going to be in any condition to play, even if he came back later in the season, if we get later into the season. So that's two wasted draft picks for the Cleveland Browns. We have seen this on too many damn occasions, sometimes out of sheer incompetence and sometimes just out of bad luck. All the news coming out of Cleveland, as far as the Browns are concerned, is bad news. The team is clearly not ready to play football. Not only are they going through a rash of injuries, Greedy Williams was helped off the field with what appeared to be a soft tissue injury. But before you say, oh, well, that's not such a big deal, Mr. Moohead, look at how many games Greedy Williams lost from a hamstring strain last year. And he's not going to be able to practice at all. So there's 3, okay? And, it's going to just keep adding up. And the reason it adds up is because it's the Cleveland Browns. They're snake bitten. They have a lousy owner. And what we're going to do is we're going to compare the Philadelphia 76ers to the Cleveland Browns so that people will understand that some of this just happens just because, man, it just seems like there's negative energy. And some of it happens out of the sheer incompetence of the organizations involved. In the case of the Philadelphia 76ers, the process, and you'll see how it all blends in with the Browns. The 76ers got a number of young players to start over with. That's what Hinkie did for the team. He sold off all of his assets in exchange for draft picks. And booyah, they got Joel Hans Embiid, and they then got Ben Simmons. And that was supposed to be the twosome that was going to lead them to the next level. Well, not so fast. Here is what has happened since those wonderful things. The current regime's first major mistake came last winter. Because they got all panicky, thinking they had a chance to win a title, the 76ers, and this is not a lot of fans, if you're like me, I don't look at every fucking deal that goes down, but the Sixers sent the Clippers 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and rookie sharpshooter Landry Shamet for a package centered around Tobias Harris, a soon-to-be free agent that the Clippers had absolutely no intention of signing. Then the Sixers elected in the summer not to re-sign Jimmy Butler or J.J. Redick so that they could ink the ancient Al Horford to a mega deal contract instead. This is crazy. I mean, Horford looked washed in his previous gig in Toronto. He looked washed. I mean, the Cavaliers kept whipping on the goddamn Raptors, and Horford was like stuck in the mud trying to cover any Cleveland Cavalier. And yet they gave him, he's like 31 now, but he's not a young 31. They gave him a multi-year mega deal. They let Jimmy Butler walk. Okay, Jimmy Butler is Jimmy Butler, and he's clearly more talented than what they got back, but he can be a problem. The Sixers, in getting Embiid, didn't realize that he was going to be injured all the time, nor did they think that Ben Simmons was going to be injured all the time. So the reasoning behind what the Sixers did is they knew that Embiid would miss 20 games. They needed a fill-in at the center position, and they felt, of all people, undersized Al Horford could do an adequate job defending Giannis Antetokounmpo. Whoa. I mean, come on. You really think that Al Horford could guard Giannis? They got to be on drugs. They thought that bringing Butler back could lead to problems with the now former coach, Brett Brown, as the two had clashed quite a bit, which makes you wonder who was right in the arguments. And then they were afraid that Butler's presence in a multi-year deal would affect Simmons. If you remember, Brown had moved Simmons off of the ball in the playoffs so that Butler could run the show. In the end, it all went to hell in a handbasket. Tobias Harris never really panned out. Consecutive postseasons that he sucked the big moose, and of course we know that they're out after 4 games this year. Not that I consider this year to be a particularly, illustrative year, but at the same time, Embiid quit on the floor. they're already done. They're through. They're finished. They fired their head coach. The head coach couldn't figure out why Ben Simmons refused to shoot three-point shots. And there is a very simple explanation. He can't. He never could. When you choose to draft a guy based on some physical trait as opposed to actual skill set, here's my question that I want to ask you, Brian. What point guard in the NBA who was a leader of teams into the playoffs consistently and became a megastar in the NBA couldn't shoot the ball? How many can you come up with?
The only one that comes to mind is Derek Anderson, or Derek for the Knicks and the Mavs.
I mean, there isn't one. I mean, the Cavaliers had to stare at Eric Snow, remember? The defensive specialist, Eric Snow. And, you know, so everyone would double.
Yeah, but he at least he shot 40% from the floor, though.
But I mean, it was ugly. And the fact is, teams would lay off him. He couldn't drive into the paint. And that gave them opponents the opportunity to beat the shit out of a young LeBron. You know, if you don't believe me, just look at, you know, Lonzo Ball. I mean, you can't be a point guard and say, hey, you know, I'm just going to be a pass first guy. And, you know, you got to put the ball in the hole. I mean, even guys who were like Mark Price, great shooter, he may not have been the greatest point guard in history, but he had a long career in the NBA. And so did Steve Nash, your buddy, Brian. Steve Nash, who couldn't play a lick of defense because he was undersized. Fact of the matter is, he knew how to get the ball in the hole.
Well, believe it or not, he was 6'3".
Yeah. But
he was the smallest 6'3" in the league.
He really played small. But the thing is, both he and Mark Price shot over 90% from the free throw line. They had incredible three-point range, so you couldn't just – and they had little stop and start moves that would get them to the basket, and then they could dish off. That's what you need. And,
yeah, I mean, Mark Price could go off for 25 or 28 or 32 points in any given game. So, yeah. I mean, he really was a good scoring point guard.
Yeah, I mean, but I look at all the guys through and any player in the NBA who can't put the ball in the hole. They don't go anywhere. The league is predicated on offense and always has been. Always has been. All of the names that you hear about that are like the epic names in NBA history, from Jerry West and the logo on down. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, he was a specimen at 7'2" and 300+ pounds, but he scored 100 points in a game. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, man, he was 7'2".
Didn't he also have 100 rebounds or something like that in a game?
No, 100 points.
Well, but he also averaged like some ridiculous number for rebounds. Yeah, for an entire season.
And Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I mean, they're a guy who's 7'2", but without the sky hook, would anyone have given a shit? I remember when he was young in the league and they said, God, it doesn't look like Lou Alcindor is really running very hard up and down the floor. When he got to the Lakers, there was no complaints about him getting up and down the floor, and he developed a shot that nobody could block or stop.
No, they just made a joke about it in the movie
Airplane. Well, that's where the joke came from, because it was like, you're not busting your ass out there. If you had to drag Lanier up and down the court, it's like, but again, without putting the ball in the hole, what does it matter? I mean, everyone talks about, Magic Johnson, he led the Showtime Lakers to blah, 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 blah. It's like Magic Johnson could have scored like 28 points a night. He just had Jabbar, he had Worthy, he had Byron Scott behind the arc, he had AJ Green,
Michael Thompson.
He had so many weapons that he didn't have to. But hey, the big baby hook that won the playoffs the one year. I mean, when he played center, do you remember when Magic Johnson played center and the big baby hook that ended up winning it all? He could score any way he wanted to score. It just he didn't have to do it because of the team he played on. But I can't think of a single point guard that just because Ben Simmons is 6'11", that doesn't mean dick. He can't shoot. And yes, he can get to the paint, as Rick is saying here. Hey, Mogambi, how you doing? He can get into the paint, but this is a league that is not built on 2 points when you're playing guys who can threes, especially in the playoffs, on a regular basis. And if you're a point guard and they know you're not going to shoot a three, they can lay off on you. And, they can make your shot more difficult. Or in the case of Ben Simmons, they can just hope that you're going to grab your leg and scream mommy and be injured, because that's what's happened each year that he's played. So I don't know. You look at the moves that teams make, and in the case of the 76ers, it's downright fugly. Now that they fired Brett Brown, they're going to have to go in a completely different direction. But what do you do? What do you do with Simmons? Because he just won't shoot threes. What do you do with... I'm sorry?
Oh, hi, everybody, by the way. Well, there's rumors that Minnesota is going to offer the number 1 pick for Ben Simmons, which... you
got to do that right if you're going to do it,
God, no. Get him, no. I don't want him anywhere near this franchise. If you're going to get rid of that number 1 pick, try and get like Devin Booker or something, not fucking, Ben Simmons.
Yeah, well, in the world of the NBA today, I mean, you're seeing in these playoff games guys going off for 50, 51 points and, putting the ball in the hole. The NBA teams are desperately trying to go to zone defenses now because the ability to shoot the ball even when covered, it's something that's extremely important. And there is no big thing now about like the Spurs with Bruce Bowen of having a stopper. There are no stoppers in the league. The floor is spread, and guys, 1 through 5, man, have athletic skills to be able to put the 3 ball up or be able to dribble the ball to the hoop and get that big first step. Ben Simmons, they decide who these number 1 picks are going to be, and they don't look at the skill set that goes with it. And I remember when, I was watching LeBron James, as many of his high school games as I could. I wanted to determine, because he was from, my neck of the woods growing up, is this guy for real or is it just hype? And, we couldn't tell. You couldn't tell playing high school. He was just way above the rim. And, it's like, Jesus. But, all I had. Go ahead.
The Wolves have the similar thing this year. Like, I was, happy we got the number 1 pick. But when you look at it, I mean, Anthony Edwards is a relative unknown. Who's the guy that got banned from the NCAA or something, played 4 games and got kicked out? He's up there. You don't know what he is. And then LaMelo Ball is the other one fucking talked about. And I don't want that fucking shit anywhere near my fucking, my fucking basketball team.
Yeah, the carnival comes with him. Yeah, I mean, and that's not good. But you start looking at the different players that you could choose. And when I saw LeBron play his first game in the NBA against the Sacramento Kings, what I saw is like, oh, well, he's got the skill set. He's already better than, a whole bunch of players in the league. I mean, and I'm used to seeing rookies who just are lucky to find their way into the lineup, and this guy, and that's a once in a lifetime kind of thing, and same thing as Michael Jordan. It's a once in a lifetime franchise kind of thing. You don't see franchises tripping into luck like that very frequently. But I can't think of a guy who came out of college who couldn't shoot the goddamn ball, who would be the number 1 overall pick just because, wow, he's a 6'11" point guard and he can really pass the ball.
Well, Lorenzo
Who else
Ball
was
was
in
kind
that?
of like that.
Lonzo Ball is a guy who, yeah, he came out with a busted shot. The shot's broken. I mean, you can't tell me that shooting the ball over this way, and they said, well, he's changed his shot, and it's like, well, so did Matthew Dellavedova, and he couldn't throw it into the ocean, okay? I mean, when you're used to shooting a certain way, and for Melo, it's over here instead of, here, it's just ugly. It's broken. And doesn't work. I mean, it's just like Jeremy Lin, Linsanity. It's if you can't consistently knock down the shot, you're not going to have a spot in the league, not a starting spot. So, yeah, what's up, Tony?
Oh, I said no. You're totally right. I mean, look at the big men these days. Karl Anthony Towns, he can hit threes. Joel Embiid can hit threes if need be. The days of the even for big men, the days of the stand in the paint and guard the rim days are, and get tough baskets down low are over. I mean, look at Luka Doncic or Doncic or whatever the fuck it is. Last night, they're down by 1 with 4 seconds left, and what does he do?
Yep.
The bitch ass white boy.
Instead of trying to fucking, just drive the lane and get fouled or get a layup, he just hoists this fucking 35-foot three. And I mean, it went in, but that's the game.
That's the game. That's the game today.
Yep.
And the defense wasn't bad. He stepped back. Back.
Yep.
He did a step back move from 30 feet away. What the fuck you gonna do? And the fact is, teams will invite Ben Simmons to shoot the two. It's like, yes, because first of all, he doesn't shoot it very well. And second of all, that means we can run out the opposite way, spread the floor, and that 6'11" point guard is not even going to get down the floor in time because his momentum's carrying him to the other hoop, and we're going to end up with a wide open three. And that's the game. It is a drive and kick, not a drive and finish league. And everybody has the ability to put the ball on the floor, create space, or create space for another. That's the game. So,
and it was a drive and finish league, and you saw what that's done to LeBron James' health. I mean, he's always on ice and fucking God knows what fucking human growth hormone he fucking takes. And
yeah, I mean, I think LeBron James is like Jim Brown. I think that he's just, and you look at Jim Brown today and he's just crippled, but he's as close to like an android as you could imagine. I mean, but all the yoga that he does, the stretching, I mean, he overcomes, ankle twists because he's just so flexible. He works at it so hard. And I do believe that when the league said no more HGH, no more of that shit, and LeBron in his final year, remember when he was cramping up in Miami? He had gotten so big, I don't think that his legs could stand the weight and the muscle and that he had put on, and he came back slimmer. He's always been a big man, goodness only knows. But, when they said no more HGH, we're warning you guys a year in advance, LeBron changed his body, and LeBron, the great ones find a way. Ben Simmons ain't a great one. And Johan Embiid has got a big mouth, but he disappears. He shrivels up like, what, Tony?
Bob Dole's dick in a cold shower.
That's absolutely right. And you can't have that, especially in the playoffs. You can't get down like he got down. Now the Cleveland Browns. What's the
update on Delpit? What's the update on Delpit? I saw they called off with, are they saying Achilles or?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty well sure it's an Achilles from the way, Schefter tweeted about it, but the guys from Browns Live who witnessed it said, and I was on a tennis court with a guy who tore his Achilles, and it's exactly what happens. It usually happens in a change of direction or in the midst of jumping. In the case on the tennis court, it was crazy. The guy I played, it was in Stowe, Vermont, and he was fast as lightning, this guy. He was a quick guy. And so, I knew he was going to cover the court, so I hit the ball behind him. He stopped and went back to hit a backhand because he was a left-hander, and he turned, and in that moment, he dropped like somebody shot him, and he yelled to me, "Somebody shot me in the leg." And I said, "Stay down." He goes, "Somebody shot me. Somebody shot me." I said, "Nobody shot you, man." I said, "You've torn your Achilles. Stay down." Well, he was freaking, totally freaking. He tried to get up, and his foot just waffled around, and he realized, and he threw up all over the court because he realized that he had torn his Achilles. And what happened to Delpit, according to the people who saw it, is that he was backpedaling and he was about to jump. And in that little motion, it's no different than the way Dan Marino did his, if you remember, pulling out of center. Pulling out of center, he tore his Achilles. So, a complete rupture of the Achilles is not only the end of the season, but then, that's a long, arduous return to the rehab. God almighty, that's right up there, like with the shoulder, when you have a rotator cuff for a pitcher.
He's essentially learning how to walk again on that foot.
It becomes a mechanical issue. Absolutely. A huge mechanical issue. And so I don't know if Delpit is ever going to amount to anything. Mac Wilson, with his knee, dislocation, that is looms over the organization in the sense that they went out and got themselves a linebacker who has been in the league for 8 years. He has one accomplishment because of one game that he played in a Super Bowl with 10 tackles. But other than that,
wasn't Mac Wilson the dude that injured Chubb last week?
Say what?
Wasn't Mac Wilson the guy that hurt Nick Chubb last week?
Yeah, the very next day, man. I told you, fucking karma was coming.
Karma. BCOD.
Black cow of death got him. Yeah. I mean, and the Browns were thin at linebacker to begin with. The fact that, Mac Wilson was going to be your starter, they were hoping on him. It's like, oh my God, we have no depth at that position. And you're right, Rick. Nobody hit Marino in the backfield. He was just took the snap from center and was rolling back into the pocket, and he collapsed. I mean, it happens that subtly sometimes. So, absolutely, Bronk, the BCOD, and he was mad because you can't injure your own star running back, and there is karma that goes with this, but and right quick his judgment cometh. So that has hurt the Browns, but there's more going on than that. The whole offensive scheme, according to people I'm talking to, players don't know what in the fuck they're doing, nor could they possibly know what the hell they're doing. They're in a new system. They're at walkthrough speed. They're only a couple of weeks from playing the Ravens, who have announced that there will be no fans in the stands. They don't need fans. They got players. The Browns don't. All right? We know how hard it is to come in with a first-year coach with a revamped system in a regular season. This year, it is impossible. You're going to hear it from me today, and you're going to hear it first. The Browns are going to stink. They're going to be terrible. They're going to be absolutely awful. And the reason is nobody's familiar with the system. According to sources within the Browns organization as well, including Alex Van Pelt, the offensive coordinator. He says the sense of urgency has to be high. We don't have any time to waste. According to Van Pelt, he admitted that the offense is, quote, still trying to figure out who we are. I mean, this is scary shit. You're going to go in there and get waxed by 30 points. I mean, while Baker Mayfield has done wonders with his new footwork, the bottom line is, what if you don't know the playbook? What if you're not sure and the people around you don't know what's going on? You know, it's if we're to the point where, oh, aren't we happy about his footwork? You know, it's like, you know, I would feel much better if we actually had offensive linemen, you know, and the one position is going to hurt us again. I mean, we have some good players, but we have a big glaring hole. And when we know that's all it takes. That's all it takes. And, you know, and yeah, we're going to run the ball. You're going to be 3 and out. You're going to be 3 and out if you're running the ball, as much as the Browns are probably going to have to run it in the first 4 weeks of the season. And that's going to put an inordinate strain on the defense. And we've seen that play out so many damn times. So what is it about the Cleveland Browns? I mean, this is just bad luck. And the answer is no. It's a combination of things that happen on an ill-timed basis, but it's also this constant flux of who's in charge, who the general manager is, who the coach is, what the system is, what we're doing offensively, whether we're playing a 4-man line or a 3-4, whether we're really concentrating on zone or press coverages, who we draft. Well, we're playing, you know, we don't want to be a zone-oriented pass defense, so we got to get guys who are press coverage guys. And then that coach gets fired, and then so, I think we're going to lean more toward a zone. This is the shit that fucks the Cleveland Browns over year after year after year. And this year will be no different. Kevin Stefanski, it's not his fault. He has no time to prepare. This reminds me of the 1999 Cleveland Browns season. That's what it reminds me of, when the team had no time to prepare. They're going to suck, and I'm going to beat everybody to the punch. Don't get angry. Don't start throwing shit at your television set, because you can't install 2 new systems defensively and offensively during a pandemic season that's been altered and where you have had virtually no practice. And then you're suffering, what happens when you try to move things forward faster. You end up with soft tissue injuries and worse. It's nothing good to be said coming out of Berea. Nothing good. And it may be that this guy is a wonderful coach, and I think that he's organized, and I think he has his shit together. But being organized up here, it's different than putting the product out on the field. And what is Jimmy Haslam going to do when the team just absolutely fucks up? And that's, the question is, at what point does the whole team start hanging their heads and realizing that this thing is still all fucked up? And I see Amsterdam's, getting political. Kellyanne Conway and her husband both got out of the political thing. This is not something that she's been thrown out or cast asunder. But I think her husband and her marriage is in trouble, is what I think.
If I can go ahead and fire back at Amsterdam.
Okay, go ahead.
Everybody's favorite white nationalist made the news again. Guess who he's supporting for president? Richard Spencer. Josephine Biden, the brain dead man himself. Now, and not only that, he's said openly that he's going to vote an entire Democrat ticket when he votes. Why? Because universal health care. Yes, he's a fucking socialist just like the rest of you. Isn't that great?
Well, but it's equally scary when 57% of Republicans say that 180,000 dead people from a pandemic is an acceptable number. So, I mean, and they will vote straight ticket no matter what. This is where we're at. I'm not trying to rip Kellyanne Conway. I know he is. I'm not. The fact is that her husband dropped out of the Lincoln Project, because I think that there are vast problems between, the interests of those two people. One who is beholden to the Trump White House, and her husband.
And not only that, their daughter, who was 15 at the time, was being used as a political weapon against both of them.
Well, I think that it is a shame when this type, and it tears people apart. And I think they're doing the right thing. I mean, you're just trying to make your marriage and your family life work. It's more important than the rhetoric that goes on, during a political campaign, which God only knows. It's who were the two, Marley Maitland and Clinton's guy, James Carville. They were able to handle it, but things weren't nearly as explosive then as they are now. It's a tough time. So at any rate, the Browns' decisions that they make affect a lot of this stuff. So we have two great running backs, but do you really need two great running backs? Because one of them is going to be underserved, or both are going to be underserved. Are you going to turn Kareem Hunt into a glorified Duke Johnson? Is that what you're going to do? Are you going to give less touches to Nick Chubb, even though he gets stronger as the game progresses? So we have this glut of talent at running back, yet at the same time, we don't have anybody in linebacker. We don't have a secondary that can cover anybody. We don't have a free safety that can do shit. This is what happens when you have swings and misses in the draft, bad luck, and a whole series of new people taking over. And you're transitioning from Dorsey to Andrew Berry, who have a very different view of things. And all of the metric things that we deal with as far as the metrics of football players, which is the heart of Andrew Berry's thing, doesn't overcome a ripped Achilles tendon. It just doesn't. I mean, you can't project something like that. This is not just a statistically based analytics kind of thing. There's a lot more that goes on. You need depth in the league. And the way you acquire depth is by getting people who play relatively young in their careers so that you can groom other people. The Browns don't have that option. The Browns never have anybody who gets very good very early, and they swing and miss on so many picks. And then they're moving guys around. It's like, hey, but I'm a guard. Shut up and play tackle. I'm a guard. Shut up and play center. This is what happens. And a tale of two cities indeed. The people in Philadelphia are sick and tired of the 76ers, as the fans in Cleveland are sick and tired of all the letdowns that the Cleveland Browns have provided the city since they came back into the league. This is not going to be any different. And this is a legitimate reason. Why not? I'm not whining, just say, oh, we're cursed. It isn't. It's a combination of things. But if you don't have depth and you're instituting a new system, use your head. It isn't going to happen. It's not going to gel. The first 4 games are going to be L's. They're going to be losses, folks. You're going to be 0-4. And then you know what the press is going to do? Another 0-16 for the Browns. And then that becomes the entire thing that the press focuses on, and the players start shaking their heads. And then guys like Kareem Hunt want to get the fuck out of Cleveland so that they can commit crimes in other cities. And that's it. And then you have to start all over again. No.
Yeah, maybe you'll end up in Miami with Tua. Oh.
Hey, David, how you doing? Yeah. And it seems like bad decisions are bad decisions. They just grow in this guy's backyard like fucking tomatoes, It's like, I don't know. Even if he makes the right decision, somehow it turns out wrong. And that's the feeling you get if you're a 76ers fan. It's like, how did we go wrong, man? How did we go wrong? We had all these picks, man. How did we wind up frittering away 2 firsts and 2 second rounders to the Clippers? And the Clippers have Kawhi Leonard, and now they got all of our draft picks, and all we got was Al Horford? and Tobias Harris? Because like, bend over and get the lube out. What the hell? And, you know, the fact is the Browns are going to be fighting with the Bengals for third place in the division, and that's scary. We should be further along, but we're not. And what's that going to do to Baker Mayfield's psyche? You just don't know. You know, and Rox, are you still breathing?
I am hanging in there.
All right. Now, Bronk wanted something for me to check on you because he was afraid that you had become deaf mute.
Yeah, I was looking for just the right emoticon for him.
How about this?
There is a middle finger if you need to use it.
Yeah. And, you know, the fact is that I was all for you have to get a new coach in, you got to get structure, organization. And, you know, these injuries are going to happen. And the reason they're going to happen is you're trying to whip these people into preparedness for the season. And you go at it hard, and then somebody does something stupid, and then, you know, you're going at it too fast, too soon, because you have no runway in front of you to take off, and you just get hurt. That's what's happening. Oh, I know, Bronk. She loves you too. She told me privately that she loves you. And so does Topaz. Topaz loves you too.
Aww.
Especially when he farts.
You know, and then this whole false positive thing, which brings COVID round full circle with the NFL. How do you have a lab that sends out wrong results to 10 teams in the league? How's that?
77.
77. It's incredible. I mean, double digits for the Browns, and Stefanski was one of them. Head coach.
Yeah, that's what screwed up the practice yesterday. All 12 were allowed to practice today, by the way.
Yeah, they're not positive. They're not positive, you know. Bronk, the fur ball is actually behind me. You can just see the tip. If I see him, let's see if I turn.
He's the spotted throw rug on the ground.
See him? There he is. There's Topaz. All right. Where's Topaz? He said. So that's the tale of two cities. Sometimes the negative energy and the negative momentum carries teams down the shitter faster because there's an expectation that they'll lose, and the narrative turns into a narrative of losing. And that's what I'm afraid is going to happen to the Browns this year. Is it's going to be, hey, we were dumb and we thought they were going to actually do something last year, but no, they're Brownsing again. You know, and that little beam of light is all gone now, and they're back to losing. And yeah, they're going to lose to the fucking Bengals, or God knows, because all it's going to take is one or two more injuries in critical areas, and they're not even going to be able to field a proper team. And it hits them at the same positions all the time. We haven't had a linebacker worth shit in God knows how long. I mean, we haven't had a safety who was worth a shit for God knows how long.
Yeah.
You just can't go through that year after year after year. Hey, Bronk, how you doing? So, you know, that's, you know.
Oh, congratulate Tony on his new cat, by the way.
Yeah.
He has a new pussy.
I adopted a fur baby.
Yeah, that's nice. What's the cat's name?
His name is Charlie.
Charlie the cat.
Yep.
Yeah,
Does
I
he
mean,
like tuna?
this is great. Topaz has been poking the cat here with his snout lately, and the cat is in isolation. That's about the extent of it. This innocent-looking fur ball behind me, yeah, he pokes with his snout. That's his thing, man.
Oh, and that picture that is being used for this show, that is Topaz's guilty grin. He had just finished snouting the cat. And then he's looking like, what? I didn't do anything. What?
That's the Topaz voice. Go ahead, do it, Rox.
I'm just minding my business here. I wouldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah. I'm totally innocent. Yeah, that's that look. They sometimes if you catch them, they'll do a double take. It's really great. Nothing better than a Sheltie dog, and I speak from experience. So yeah, Crumbly Q says, "How about Tom Darden?" Right, the ball hawking Tom Darden. How far back do we have to go?
Wow.
Yeah,
What a U of M classic draft pick. Wow.
And Rick is pointing out quite correctly, the fans are going to have because no tailgating parties before home games. They've banned that. Yeah. So the virus continues to take its toll in many different ways. So, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to be watching the virtual Republican convention. I did not watch a single minute of the Democratic virtual convention, to be very honest with you. I didn't watch it. I'm not going to waste my time with the Republicans either. First of all, it's not fun. And second of all, it's just all horseshit. But, enjoy your convention. And I hope that it's enjoyable for, those people who get up and feeling good. I also haven't been watching NBA games. I just can't get into it. I mean, it's like I just feel like the season was truncated and it's incomplete. The result doesn't matter. It's not going to be indicative of a whole hell of a lot except what the league wants. And that's usually what it is anyway. Right, Tony? What happened to Tony? Is he frozen?
I don't know. He looks like some mid-level arms dealer.
Yeah. Tony the Calf is like frozen.
He's got a few AK-47s in his boot.
There,
He wants
there
to
we are.
unload.
Oh, there he is.
What it is with my phone, if you get off of StreamYard for whatever reason and go to Twitter,
Porn
or
sites.
Facebook,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it freezes the camera. So, but I watched 7 minutes of basketball, and the only reason was my phone alerted me. Luka Doncic on fire. Tune in now on ABC or whatever the fuck it was. I was like, well, there's nothing else on. I'll watch this for 7 minutes.
And I think that's the way a lot of us felt, Mugambi. I mean, since the Cavs didn't have a finish to the truncated season, then, what's there to watch? I mean, I support Northeast Ohio teams, even if they're not always very good. And I want to see what growth
Yeah, he wasn't.
have in players.
Doncic wasn't too bad for a bitch ass white boy.
I don't know what a bitch ass white boy is.
Harold from the Clippers called him that after he scored on him.
Oh, are you kidding?
And was backpedaling.
Yeah.
And
Right
it was
on the
caught on camera.
Wow.
So he did manage to apologize after the game, but that was after Doncic drilled the dagger winning shot. So
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
if he missed it, probably would have been a different story.
ESPN Classic. Yeah, the Rod Laver highlights. Thank you, Crimbley. I appreciate it.
Well, there's your left-handed tennis player.
Yeah, boy, if you ever saw his left arm, his forearm was so huge because he hit so much topspin. He had, no, it was, let's put it this way. I mean, how would I say, how big was it?
How big was it?
How would I do this? It's so big that if he fisted Kim Kardashian, she'd say, "Oh God, stop! That hurts." Okay.
Wow.
That's big.
Yeah, Rod Laver was my mom's favorite tennis player because he was a lefty.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he had the big Popeye arms. That's right. Yeah, he was
Big anchor on his.
quite a tennis player. Yeah, Rod Laver was awesome. That's going back to my young years of learning the game. As a matter of fact, I read Rod Laver's book, and that's how I got really involved in the game. Uh-oh, something's feeding back. So The other thing is that if you didn't hear, Earl Thomas has been released by the Ravens. Browns fans are saying, "Go get him!" Go, and it's like, no,
No,
Earl
he
Thomas
got
has a problem.
Yeah, he got released because he got into another fight with a teammate.
Yeah, he's got an anger management problem that will not quit. And believe me, they're not going to get rid of a guy that could really help the team, but he's dividing the team. And he was doing it last year. He did it again this year. And that's all, enough is enough. He's
Jerry
in the
Jones,
second
come
year
on
of a 4-year.
down.
Yeah, second year of a 4-year deal with $55 million. It's what can I tell you? Earl Thomas is not needed by the Ravens, and the Ravens are willing to just walk away from it. They're going to try to trade him, of course, but of course his value now has been knocked way down, which of course is why the Browns fans are saying to Jimmy Haslam, "Hey, make another mistake." Like we need that. What are you giggling about?
Babylon B. Journalists horrified as Melania unveils 50-foot tall Trump-shaped bushes in Rose Garden. The Babylon Bee is a spoof site.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, believe me, nobody ever promised me a rose garden.
I think a lot of people have seen Melania's bushes, but anyway.
I beg your pardon.
Are you saying that Rox has no thorns?
That's really very, very, very personal. And,
Is that a Poison reference? What the fuck?
we don't. I don't know, man.
Get a closer shave next time, please.
You got to go out and get some, man. Yeah, you got to do something. Gee, I don't know. Hello, no. So that's what the Ravens have chosen to do. So he's not going to obviously be in the secondary, but they have depth because they move seamlessly from Ozzie Newsome in charge to the next generation. They keep getting good players, and then they hit it good with Lamar Jackson, and they have a scheme, and they just keep, and they have strong offensive line, and it's like the Steelers. They just keep building, and they lose pieces, they gain pieces. It's I don't know. To me, it's too damn bad. I really wanted to see the Browns do a little something this year, but I just know in my heart that you can't expect it. And fans will be expecting it, and they'll be let down. And the halftime and post-game shows this year, I'm going to reflect that attitude to people. Don't sit there and say, "Oh, this is, Hugh Jackson all over again." Don't go there. Don't start bringing up Dorsey's names. You say we never should get rid of Dorsey. It's like,
Ooh.
Ooh.
Who would say that?
Well,
wrong.
Browns fans go around in circles. The people who wanted, what was the schmuck's name? Eric
Manginius.
Mangina, yeah. There are people who are actually saying, "Oh, you should have stayed with him."
He won 4 meaningless games in a row because Jerome Harrison ran for like 500 yards in each game, and then they wanted to keep fucking Manginius, and you and I both said it was a fucking major mistake. Set back the organization.
Nobody hired him subsequently, Bronk. It's not like there was a rush for him.
No, that's why he's on fucking FS1. He can't get a coaching job anywhere.
That's why I never see him, because I can't do FS1.
You're not missing a hell of a lot, because his insight is about this. Who's feeding back here? Somebody's feeding back.
I think it's Tony.
It might be you, Bronk.
Tony?
Well, whatever it is, it stopped.
Tony? My advice to Browns fans this year is to drink heavily.
Yeah. Make it go away any way you can. Make it go away. That's best thing to do. The Cleveland Indians start the Minnesota Twins series, and I wanted to do something before. And again, losing organizations find a way to lose. McKenzie pitched a whale of a game in his first look-see in the big leagues.
Is that the guy from the Mamas and Papas? Mackenzie Phillips or whatever?
No. This guy really looked good. I mean, he was, mid to upper 90s.
It's Bob and Doug McKenzie's long-lost brother, eh?
And he probably feels like he's in the Great White North. The bottom line is, kid's 6'5" and 165 pounds.
It's like 1/4 the weight of Tony the Calf. Jesus.
Do you remember when Pedro Martinez first came in the league?
God, 65 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, the guy's a whippet, but man, he was throwing 97 up in the zone. Well, that was his four-seamer. His two-seamer was in the 94, 95 range, and he was showing 4 pitches. He was showing a slider, a curveball, the four-seamer, the two-seamer, and a changeup. So technically, you can say 5 pitches he was showing, and showing command with them. Looked so good that the organization said, we want another look at you, and we're going to keep you up. But this, as a backdrop, is everything because of Plesac and Clevenger. And here's what I'm afraid of for the Indians. They're sitting at 17-11 right now and are the number 2 team in the wild card chase right now. They need to get Plesac and they need to get Clevenger back on the mound. I don't want to hear this bullshit about, what they did was such a letdown to their teammates, and now there's all this problem. It's like, something? They couldn't hit when they were there, and they still can't hit. And the fact of the matter is, the guy who really opened his big yap, like I said he would fail, fucking idiot Plutko, who I think should be dumped into AAA. He's got a 9.00 earned run average in his last 4 appearances for the Cleveland Indians. You can't win with him on the mound. He's got a big fucking mouth, and I don't care what he thinks, and he's not even a major league talent.
Yeah, he's like just Tomlin without the charm,
That's right.
He's not very good, man. This outfield is so epically bad. I mean, we remember Vic Davalio and Chuck Hinton and obviously Chico Simone, Daddy Wags, but this outfield has got to be the worst outfield hitting wise that we've ever had. So.
It's a bunch of misfits, and now Greg Allen hits a meaningless home run in the 9th inning, and now he's going to get a shot. Bradley Zimmer's been sent down, and Zimmer was supposed to be something that would amount to something, and it's amounted to nothing. But the real thing that I'm afraid of here is that Cookie Carrasco is having problems, and I'm always concerned and always worried. His breaking pitch wasn't breaking, and he was consistent.
He's the cancer on the team.
Huh? Oh God, no!
Come on, Brock. Jesus Christ.
Well, he's the cancer on the team. Hey, somebody's got to say it.
Actually, you beat me to it. No, I was not going to say that.
Yes, you were. Yes, you were.
But Carlos Carrasco, to be honest with you, he was never the top gun. I mean, Kluber, he's a good, solid number 3 kind of guy, but what he's coming off of is not something you take lightly. And not only that, but they had to stretch his arm back out, and I'm worried because the breaking ball wasn't breaking, and his fastball was sailing, and I don't know what's going on. But if there's something wrong with Cookie, we got to have Clevenger and Plesac back, and we got to make room for McKenzie to be the 5th guy, and we got to get rid of Plutko. I mean, that's the logical thing to do. But I'm afraid that they're going to try to take this stupid high road thing, and they're going to trade either Plesac or Clevenger. And I have a feeling it's going to be Clevenger, because they're going to say, well, he's hurt a lot, and plus he was Bauer's best friend. And I think they're going to fucking trade him.
Well, I don't mind the trade if we get a fucking hitting outfielder. I mean, if we get an outfielder back there. I mean, we had a perfectly good one in Michael Brantley. Now, ask the fucking Dolan family what happened to him. You know?
Well, look, one hitter is not as important to this team as a pitcher. This
Yeah,
team
I
is
know.
only going to go as far as its pitching staff takes them because, 1 through 9. Look, we're having guys, Lindor has been, cold, and Ramirez has been like up and down, and he was coming off an 0 for 21, and this has been the story with Ramirez, unfortunately, is that the same thing happened to him last year. He started out the season and he was so far behind in the second half of the season, he hit lights out, but he's not putting full seasons together. And Carlos Santana is going back to the Carlos Santana that we didn't know and love, and he's not getting base hits. He's not getting on base. He's still walking. He still has his eye, but he's not making solid contact.
Those are the best guys on the team. You're talking about the infield.
That's right.
What about the horrific hitting from the catching position? We got like the guy from Major League and Bull Durham.
Yeah.
Roberto Perez, and we got fucking Charlie Behringer as his backup.
Yeah.
Who's the guy? Kevin Costner as his backup. So,
yeah.
Bo fucker,
Bo Taylor, yeah. I mean, I don't really think that nobody expected to get offense from the catcher position, but they threw all of these outfielders in and figured out of this stew that 3 of them would emerge. Well, they haven't.
Well,
and the fact that
Naquin's shit, fucking Delano the Shield shit.
Well, I don't think Naquin is shit. I think he's going to get hurt, but I think that he can hit the low fastball and he can at least he can deliver hits. Delano DeShields Jr. has no bat whatsoever, and he has a subpar throwing arm in center field, which doesn't make him of any use to anybody. Then you have Jordan Luplow, who's not even hitting left-handers this season. and
they put him in. He's like, when it's a left-handed pitcher, he is the only non-Hispanic in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, and you got Domingo Santana, who quite honestly is an all-or-nothing kind of player. And the second half of last season for the Mariners, he withered in the second half of the season.
And he's the best one. He is the best outfielder.
Yeah, and it's scary. Delano DeShields has a lot of range in center field, but he can't throw anybody out.
I mean, Naquin is horrific in the outfield. He absolutely cost us so many games in that playoff run. I mean, he is Jake Taylor. Thank you. That's the name I was looking for.
Yeah, but, I think that the Indians can't afford to take this high road. They've got to use the players they've got to get what they can get. It's too late to patch up the outfield. And damn well when you're dealing with the Indians, you're not going to get anything in return for Clevenger. The teams are going to say, hey, he's been hurt the last 2 years. He can't play a full season. And you're having problems with him. He lied about, the COVID thing. And, they're going to price him way down. You're not going to get what you're looking for. And the worst part of it is that we're always in this situation because we have nothing developmental in the minor leagues. We're not developing anybody. You look at who these people are, Delano DeShields Jr. I mean, we get them in trades. These guys come, like Jordan Luplow, they come from other organizations, in some instances really putrid organizations like the Pittsburgh Pirates. And you're not going to get anywhere. There's nothing homegrown. This is a problem, it's.
Well, I mean, they just won. I was the one who was the most optimistic at the beginning of the year, only because it was a 60-game season. If they do manage to get hot, and they do manage to get hot pitching, they can make the playoffs, and then anything can happen in this new playoff format. And I'm still going to stand by that. I'm not going to have them buried completely just yet, but I realize that this outfield is historically bad, but the pitching staff is historically good. Now, if anything just starts happening in the hitting, like if we get some production between 6 and 9 that actually can score 2 runs a game, then we could reel off a winning streak. We'll see what happens with the Twins. Either the Twins are going to sweep us and rip our asshole, or we could fucking sweep the Twins.
Well, I'll tell you what really concerned me, and it has nothing to do with Clevenger and Plesac, who are being whipping boys for bad judgment. We were up 5-0 against the Tigers after Franmil Reyes hit a home run, and they're dancing and singing in the dugout. Then, of course, Plutko goes out and throws a bunch of meatballs, and the next thing you know, man, it's 7-5. And they said it became, you could hear a pin drop. It became so silent. No singing, no dancing, that the players were crushed. And this is the reason that the Cleveland Indians will never amount to anything. And it's not because Francona is not there. It's that there isn't the team leader to tell these guys to get their heads out of their asses. But I mean, Ramirez is looking at the ground, Lindor is looking at the ground, and Santana's looking down at the ground. And then the young guys are looking over at them, and everybody is subdued. They lost their balls just from that. Just from one lousy Adam Plutko inning or two, and they lost their fucking cojones. That's what happened.
Used to come back. Used to make historic comebacks back, even prior from the Francona era. We all know that one where they came back from being down with Seattle by 13 runs or whatever. This team used to have fight in it, but
not happening. It's not happening. So right now, the team is down in confidence, and and all you're going to do is if you trade Clevenger, all that's going to happen is that half the team's going to be against it. You're going to have a rift no matter what you do.
Yeah, I don't think Sandy Alomar is much of a leader. I think he's like, a yes man bench guy.
Any way the wind blows, he's kind of a guy who is a facilitator.
Yeah, nice guy. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
But I think that the whole Indians team, the straw that stirs the drink is the pitching staff. You fuck with that. And as it is, we have what I would consider to be a very questionable bullpen that has not been taxed as much as what you would think it would, because we've gotten such outstanding starting pitching. But as we get...
Man, do I worry about, and the fucking side armor guy.
Simber is...
Is he gone?
No, he's terrible. And, you can't... look, the Minnesota Twins are far and away a better team than we are, and we're going to get our asses handed to us. We're going to get our asses handed. So, it's 7 after 7. I got to get out of here. But, hey, Bronk, thanks for making the trip from England. Appreciate it. And, Brian, thanks.
I'm from all the fun.
Thanks again. And Rox, you hang in there. And
say something, Rox. Say something.
Something.
Okay, there you go.
All right, see you guys later.
Take it easy, everybody. Thanks for tuning into this edition of Moohead Radio. Back again come Friday. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Good night.
Bye.